Okay, good morning everyone. Today we are going to start with integers. So the topic is integers. We have already studied integers in class 6, and I'm sure your teacher must have told you that it is one of the most important topics that you're going to cover in 7. So the basics we had already done in 6. We are just going to quickly brush off the basics. Now integers were the set of numbers which consist of whole numbers and negative numbers. That means all the numbers which like 0, 1, 2, so on up, up to infinity and -1, -2, -3, so on up to here are known as integers. And this is a very, very important set of numbers which we started in 6. So we will just quickly revise what we did. We had learned how to, supposing if I give you a question like -24 plus -32. Now we had in 6, please recall, we had learned how to open up a bracket. That means if I have a plus sign before a plus sign or a minus sign before a minus sign, we had learned how to open these brackets, in which we had seen if we have a plus and if we have a plus in the bracket, the answer will remain positive. Wherever you have a plus sign, the sign inside the bracket does not change. So this will remain minus. Whenever you have minus, the sign inside the bracket will change. So minus minus becomes plus and minus plus becomes minus. This we had done, and we generally tell this again and again in sixth also, that please do not confuse this minus minus plus. This is used only when you have a negative sign outside the bracket and then you have a negative sign inside the bracket. Only then we say minus minus is plus. Now using this, if I applied here there is no bracket, so this remains -24. Here this is the case pertaining to this line, which is plus outside, minus inside. So my answer is going to be minus. So -32. Now when I want to solve these, now please recall another thing that we did, that if we are if we have two integers having the same sign means both of them are negative. So two integers having the same sign, you will always add them. So my answer will be 57 because I'm simply adding them, and it will remain minus because obviously my numbers are negative. So when my numbers are negative and I'm adding them, I cannot have a positive answer. So my answer here becomes -57. This is what we already did in 6. But still, if there is slightest doubt, please do practice this a lot because this is a base of 7. So this is how we used to solve. And now in this we had some cases like, supposing I say I have to, let's say my question is, okay. Now again pertaining to the same rules that I had seen, minus of minus becomes plus, so this becomes 36. Plus minus becomes minus, so this becomes 82. Now I have a, when there is no sign, then obviously there is a plus sign here. So one integer is positive, one integer is negative, so we will not add, we will subtract the two. So if you subtract these two, your answer will be, now obviously you will subtract 36 from 82 because 36 is smaller, ignoring the sign. 82 as a number is bigger, we are not considering the sign right now. So 82 minus 32, 36 we will do. So we will get 7, sorry, 46. And now we look at the sign. So the sign of the greater number, that is 82 is greater than 36. So the answer is going to be negative. So when you have a positive or and a negative number, you will always subtract and put the sign of the greater number. I hope this is clear. This is very, very important. This is the base of integers. So just practice this a bit. I'll give you one more maybe, and I will not solve it. So you just think about the answer. I'll give you the answer. Supposing I give you, let's say -42 minus minus 30. So this, applying the applying how we open the brackets and then solving, try to solve it, we will get this minus 42 remains the same. So minus 42, again minus minus becomes plus, we get plus 30. Now again one is positive, one is negative, you will subtract, and if you subtract the two, the answer is going to be 12, and then you will look at the sign of the greater number, which is minus. So the answer becomes minus 12. Okay. Now this is what we already did. Now when we come to seventh class, one very important thing that I feel that children always make a mistake in, so we will just do that. Supposing I say, give a pair of integers whose whose sum is whose sum is 5. Right? Supposing you have to give a pair of integers whose sum is 5. Now, you have to find two integers which when you add give 5. So, the easiest being, if this is my pair of integers, when I'm talking of a pair, we'll write it as two numbers in a bracket. Now, if this is my pair, obviously what is the sum? 2 plus 3? 5. This is simple. Very simple. Now if I say I want I want a pair of integers where one integer is positive, one integer is negative, and I want the sum to be 5. Now here obviously this pair will not help. I want one positive, one negative, and the sum is still 5. So let's say, supposing you tell me that we will take 10 and 5, so obviously it becomes 15, so this is wrong. Supposing you say 10 and minus 5, supposing, right? Now if I add them up, sum becomes 10 plus minus 5, which is 10 minus 5, which is 5. So this pair is okay for this question. Supposing you have taken, let's say, minus 10 and 5. Supposing I have taken this pair. Now let's try to see the sum. This is my first number plus the second. So what is my answer here? Here my answer is not 5. Why? Because one is positive, one is negative. You are subtracting the two and putting the sign of the greater integer, which is minus. So the answer will be minus 5. So given the condition, this pair if I give, my answer would be wrong. So you have to be very, very careful um, while choosing your integer, because you are given you have to you have to give a particular answer which is asked. Your answer that you need is 5 only, not minus 5. Similarly, if I had asked, let's say, now this is very, very important. Supposing I say I want the difference to be 5. I want the difference to be 5. Now, supposing I take 10 and 5 again. Here I want the difference. Difference means I have to subtract the 2. So if I write difference is 10 minus 5, this comes out to be 5. Is this correct? Why did I get this minus sign? Because I want the difference between subtraction. But children make so many mistakes in this. It is very, very important that you understand what is wrong and why is it wrong. So now the difference is 5 in the difference. Now supposing some child thinks that the difference of 10 and 5 is 5. So I will take this as my pair, and here my difference becomes 10. Now please understand, 10 is one number and minus 5 is another number. So when I have to find out the difference, I have a negative sign for subtraction and then my original number. So this in effect becomes 10 minus minus plus and 5, which becomes 15. So this is not what was asked. So here my answer is wrong, because this is the mistake that children do. They think 10 and minus 5, the difference is 5. But they forget that this negative is a part of the number. This number is negative. When you subtract this negative number, it will in effect, the sign becomes positive. And then your answer is 50. So if you write 10 and minus 5, then your answer is wrong. Now let's consider if I say minus 10 and 5. Okay. If I take minus 10 and 5 as a pair, I want the difference. So what is my difference? First integer minus the second integer, which becomes minus 10 and minus 5 becomes minus 15. So this again is the wrong answer. So in effect, this is my correct answer. Or if I write, um, supposing my question was the difference is minus 5. Okay. This you may feel that I'm just repeating the same thing, but it is very, very important to understand when you ask for the sum, the middle sign is going to be always because I'm adding. If I'm seeing the difference, the middle sign has to be negative. So it makes a lot of difference. Now, difference is minus 5. We build this possible combinations like supposing I take minus 2 and let's say okay no. Supposing I take minus 8 and minus 3. Okay. Now when I want to find out the difference, I will write my first integer minus the second integer, this negative sign because I want the difference. So minus 8 minus minus 3, which becomes minus 8 plus 3, which becomes minus 5. So when I want the difference minus 5, if I took minus 8 and minus 3, it is minus 5. Now we will just see one more. Supposing I say I want one positive, so one positive, one negative, and the difference minus 5. What can I do? Let's try. I think the difference is 5 and minus 10, supposing. Okay, because I think that yes, I want a negative answer, so I've taken the bigger number as negative, and I will subtract, so I've taken 5. Now let's see, if I want to find out the difference, I'll write the first integer, minus, minus, meaning, minus the second integer, this becomes 5 plus 10, which becomes 15. So clearly my answer is wrong. Though I had thought and taken that I'm taking a bigger number as negative so that my answer becomes negative, and I have taken the difference as 5, so it will be minus 5. But when you solve it, because it is the difference, I have this minus sign in between, which makes it plus, and the answer becomes 15. Same pair, if minus 5. Supposing I had said the sum is equal to minus 5. There, let's see what happens. I'll write sum is equal to 5 plus minus 10 because I want the sum, so I will add. So this becomes 5 minus 10, which becomes minus 5. So then I get the correct answer. What I wanted, I have got. But in case of difference, you have to be very, very careful. Want to solve and see, even if you get the wrong answer, to cut it out and then go to another pair. You have to think, and this will need a little practice. So you have to be very careful. Sometimes the question will say, give a pair of positive integers, which is sum, which is this difference. Sometimes the question will say, give a pair of one positive, one negative, the sum is this, the difference is this. You have to be very, very careful. You have to read the question carefully, understand the question carefully, and then think and do. So you will, if you look in your book, exercise 1.2 has questions of this sort, so you can yourself try and maybe variable answers. There is no one set answer, but you can check your answer like this. If it is sum, put the plus sign in between. If it is negative, put the negative sign in between, and check whether you are getting the correct answer. So please try to do questions from exercise 1.2, and this is very very important. One such question definitely comes in any test in which you are having integers. So you have to be very very clear about the sum and difference concept. Just to make it clearer, I'll just take up one more example and then we move on. Supposing I am saying that the sum integer, I want the sum to be minus 7 and I want one integer to be positive, one integer to be negative. Now, since I want the sum to be minus 7, obviously minus 3 and minus 4 because I want one positive, one negative integer, so this pair is wrong. Supposing I take minus 17 and 10. Do you think the the sum is going to be minus 7? Let's see. So yes, the sum is minus 7. So one positive, one negative. Now supposing I say I want both the integers to be negative. Then this pair is good enough. We are adding two negative integers and the sum is minus 7. Now supposing I want the difference to be minus 7. So one positive, one negative integer I want, and I want the difference to be minus 7. So let's see. Let's try. Supposing I think 2 and 9 have a difference of 7. So I'll again take I'll take 2 and let's say minus 9. But again, like we saw in the other question also, this is my first integer minus the second, which becomes 11, which is really not what I want. So now let me see if I take minus 9 and minus 2. Oh no, I want one positive, one negative. Okay, supposing I take this. No, okay. Um, let's say, okay, let's try minus 9 and 2. Now I want the difference, so this becomes minus 9 minus 2. This time it comes out to be minus 11. So obviously this is also not correct. Now I want try to think of a pair which will give you the difference as minus 7. Take a second and think. Think. Okay, we'll continue. You think and do. We will continue this in the next.